Hi guys, it's me Jem and welcome to the 10th episode of my movie review segment here on my YouTube channel. It's called Gem at the Movies where we take a look at some movies either recent or old but gold. So for today's review, we're going to take a look at another Jennifer Lawrence film. It's an inspiring tale of real life American inventor Joy Mangano, and how she became a self made millionaire, and how she came up with the self wringing or miracle mop that led to her success. So, the movie we're going to review for today is named after the success story herself. The title of the movie is Joy. The film was released in 2005 and it's directed by David O. Russell, director of Academy Award nominated films like American Hustle and the very successful Silver Linings Playbook, which both starred Jennifer Lawrence, as well as Three Kings with George Clooney and Mark Wahlberg. The film had a budget of 60 million and earned 101 million in the box office, making it a fairly successful movie. The cast includes Jennifer Lawrence, Bradley Cooper, Robert De Niro, Edgar Ramirez, Isabella Rossellini, Virginia Madsen, Diane Ladd, Elizabeth Rome, and Dasha Polanco. Now, Robert De Niro. When we think Robert De Niro, we think mob, we think gangster films. That was what he was known for. But in this movie, he plays Rudy Mangano, a troubled but loving father to Joy, who owns an auto repair shop. Jennifer Lawrence, once again, proving her versatility as an actress. The thing I noticed about her in this movie is she has very expressive eyes. She gets a lot of close ups in this movie, and her eyes really tell the character of the story. Whether she's happy, sad, angry, or serious, you can really connect with her character through her eyes. Bradley Cooper, we know from films like The Hangover, American Sniper, and as Rocket in Guardians of the Galaxy. And in this movie, he plays Neil Walker, a manager of a home TV shopping channel, and he gives Joy an opportunity to sell her mop on TV. The movie for me gave off sort of a desperate housewives vibe
My daughter Terry is separated and alone in her room watching soap operas.
because the story is being told through um, Joy's grandmother, Mimi, who is played by Diane Ladd. The movie opens with Joy's grandmother, Mimi, narrating the story of how, even as a child, Joy loved to create things. So she makes a model of a house, complete with trees and a fence, and dreams that one day she would be living in a big house. Unfortunately, her father Rudy destroys the model. So one day, Rudy decides that he wants to move in with Joy. Um, he immediately sees Terry, played by Virginia Madsen, and Terry is Rudy's ex wife who just sits on the bed all day and just watches soap operas. Rudy also meets Tony, Joy's ex wife, who lives in her basement. Joy met Tony at a party, and he is a Latino singer who wants to become the next Tom Jones. Unfortunately, singing wasn't enough to support Joy and her kids, so they decided to divorce. Joy also has a half sister named Peggy, who is from Rudy's other ex wife. And Joy and Peggy don't really get along. Peggy always contradicts Joy, and she always says that she's better. So one day, Rudy is on a telephone dating service and he meets Gertrude, or Trudy, a wealthy Italian widow. So Trudy invites the family on her yacht with specific instructions not to bring red wine, as it will stain the floor. Surely enough, Tony brings red wine and it gets spilled on the deck. Joy attempts to clean up the deck and her hands get cut by glass shards on the mop. Now, this is where Joy gets the idea for a self wringing mop. She goes up to her daughter's room and she starts making designs. Joy then attempts to get Trudy to invest in her idea, and Trudy asks her four questions. Um, where did she go to high school? Who was she in high school? The third question that Trudy asks is if Joy was prepared to present any financial returns if she were to go through with her venture. The fourth question was if she and her adversary were in a room and there was a gun, what would she do? Joy answers by saying that she would pick up the gun and kill her adversary. Trudy was really skeptical of Joy and she tries to discourage Joy, and she tells Joy that she could be headed for financial failure. It doesn't help that her sister Peggy is also discouraging Joy, and she says that Joy is not a businessman and that she has plans for her father's business. Tony tells Rudy that Joy needs a patent lawyer, but Rudy just dismisses him, saying that he knows nothing about business. Joy makes the first prototype of her mop and eventually she convinces Trudy to invest. She contracts a company in California to make the mops and hires Latina people to assemble them. Joy tries to approach retail stores to get them to sell the mop, but Joy just gets dismissed. She then tries to demonstrate the mop to passerbys near a local mall. At first, the people were dismissing Joy, but then her friend Jackie tries to demonstrate the mop, and people started to pay attention to Jackie. And then Joy comes along, and Joy pretends to be an interested customer. But it doesn't last long when the police confiscate Joy's mops. Tony tells Joy about someone he used to work with that might be able to help Joy. Joy meets Neil Walker, an executive of QVC, a company that sells products on television. Joy personally demonstrates the mop to Neil, and Neil is instantly sold on the idea. And he asks Joy if she can produce 50,000 units in 1 week. Joy again approaches Trudy to loan her money. Um, Trudy accepts but tells Joy that she has to produce half of the amount. So Joy gets a second mortgage on her house in order to fund production. So Joy's family gathers around the TV to watch the mop's first infomercial, which is demonstrated by Todd, one of Neil's best salesmen. Unfortunately, excitement turns to disappointment when Todd fails to operate the mop. Neil calls Joy because the mop fails to sell. Unsatisfied with Neil's answer, Joy demands another chance. This time, she has to demonstrate the mop herself. Neil gives Joy another chance, but warns her that she might freeze in front of the camera. When it came time to go on stage, Joy does freeze for a few moments, but then Jackie calls her posing as an interested customer. Because of Jackie, Joy suddenly regains her confidence and starts talking about the mop. And suddenly, the mop starts gaining sales. Neil congratulates Joy and tells her that if ever that one day they become adversaries in commerce, they would remain friends. However, celebration is then overshadowed by grief as Joy's grandmother Mimi dies. Joy goes to California and confronts a man named Gerhardt about a royalty payment that she did not authorize. Joy discovers that the company had patented her design, but she is escorted out of the factory. Joy vows to return with proof. Joy, again confronted by Trudy, is forced to file for bankruptcy. So Joy goes to Dallas to confront Derek Markham, um, the mysterious person who is receiving all the royalties. Derek says that Joy has no case against them, but then um, Joy tells him that she had been in contact with a Mr. Christopher from Hong Kong who said that they had no idea about Joy's design and that they had no similar product and that they had never made or sold a mop that was similar to Joy's design. Startled by what he had heard from Joy, Derek offers to pay back all the royalties Joy has paid, including interest and damages. So Joy succeeds in taking back her patent, and later on, she becomes a very successful businesswoman. So, my final thoughts on this movie, you have to admire what Joy Mangano has done before she can claim her success. She had to deal with a lot of failure and disappointment and people that were putting her down and telling her that she can't be a businesswoman. Yet she fought for what she believed in, which was her product. It's one of those movies you have to watch if you want to get inspired in your life. And of course, there are life lessons in this movie. Um, Lessons about perseverance and self confidence, and how you have to continue believing in something even though the people around you are trying to put you down. And that's what Joy has done to overcome everything that has been thrown at her to achieve her success. So, guys, that is it for my 10th movie review here on Gem at the Movies. If you like this video, please consider subscribing with notifications, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye!